OMG, guys, can you believe that we're almost at the end of the first quarter? And if you think back to January and all your resolutions, how much progress have you actually made? Are you still feeling overwhelmed by everything? Are you still feeling really stuck? Are you still feeling like you just don't know what to do, but you're so busy, but not getting any progress? Well, I understand, and you're absolutely not alone. I help practice owners just like you solve all kinds of problems in their business, and I do it using a spiritual framework. Just a few days, what's going to happen is the doors are going to be opening to the 90-day coaching program. I would absolutely love to have you there. If you're not a coaching person, but you do have a burning issue that you want help with, I'm going to bet that it's recruiting. And don't worry, I've got you covered with a course that launches on the 24th of March. And if you enroll in the How to Recruit Candidates course before the 1st of April, you're going to get it for half off. Plus, you're going to get a bonus coaching session with me. So head over to the website, www.brooklynstorm.com, for all the information and to register your interest. I can't wait to see you there. Bye. You are a visionary, an entrepreneur, a business owner. You want to make money from your passion and create the freedom that you've dreamed of. But it's slow. The income is slow, the impact is slow, and the freedom is slow. And here's the kicker. You've actually never been busier. You're working longer than ever, burning through daylight, and your family have forgotten who you are. You're tired and frustrated and you can't even sleep well at night. The business just feels so heavy, and all you ever wanted to do was just make the money you want to make, doing the things that you want to do. And that's where I come in. Hi, if we haven't met yet, my name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I'm the host of the Business Acceleration Podcast, where we shift your business from heavy to light, time poor to time abundant, and from income lack to income growth. We're going to achieve it together with my 20 years experience as a psychologist, helping people just like you to break through their barriers. And we're going to throw in a little of the woo as well. So thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Okay, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to another episode of the Business Acceleration Podcast. And I am so pleased that you're here. It is about 10:30 on Friday night. And Gabe and I are just in the kitchen having a hot chocolate with our almond milk and just enjoying a relax. He's just back from the groomer and he's all fluffy and soft. And we thought we'd just have some quiet time together. But as I'm in the kitchen, you might hear the pitter-patter of little paws, and that's all it is, just him in the background. So just thought I would let you know before we start. So I don't know how you're all feeling about everything that's going on at the moment, but I wanted to shift the conversation, and I've been attempting to shift the conversation in some of the online spaces that I spend my time in, and I seem to be getting some really positive responses from that. So I thought I might carry that over to our episode today. Now, if you follow me on Facebook, you will see that a few days ago I pulled out a deck of cards. Now, let me preface this by saying these aren't any fancy pants expensive tarot cards or anything like that. In fact, I got these cards from Costco when I was there a couple of weeks ago trying to buy, of course, toilet paper. And while I didn't get toilet paper, I did happen to see in their big book section a tarot. It was a book with a set of cards, and it was $10. And I just thought, you know what, I've listened to a podcast lately where somebody was talking about using tarot for business, and so it kind of piqued my curiosity a bit. To be honest with you, I'm somebody who loves getting her cards read, but I've never really been one to do the reading, so I don't actually own a set of my own tarot cards. I think I may have had, well, I do have oracle cards. I've got all Gabby Bernstein's oracle cards. I've got some Egyptian oracle cards, all sorts of things like that. Doreen Virtue's angel oracle cards. So I've got oracle cards because I love them and I can make sense of them. But I've never really been a tarot person. However, this podcast that I listened to got me inspired. And when I saw these tarot cards at Costco the other week, I thought, yep, I'm going to give it a go. So to be entirely honest with you, it has been years, and I mean like probably since I was a teenager that I've actually sat down and tried to do a tarot reading. However, what's different between me being a teenager and me being in my mid-40s is I have a lot of, sorry, that's the train going past in the background. I live in a very small country town, and this train has like one caboose, but it likes to make its presence known sometimes. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, so I think with my age has come not only a little bit of wisdom, but also perhaps some intuition that I've been developing and working on. And I think I've kind of grown more into energy. So I call myself an intuitive empath. I do use the words feel, sense, pick up a lot. Even in my counseling, when people will say to me, what do you think? My response is, well, it feels to me. And I wasn't even aware that I used to say the word feels until somebody picked it up in conversation and brought my attention to it. And ever since then, I've been very acutely aware of it. But it's true. I do tend to pick up on people's energy, on the vibe of the room, on the vibe of the space. And yeah, it's something I've been really, I guess, aware of and developing over the last couple of years. And so I'm sharing that with you because I think it was through being able to really use that energy and be in the moment and present with that energy that I was able to get such an amazing card reading the other day. So let me see if I can quickly bring it up for you. So for those of you who love tarot cards, you might be able to shed more insight than what I've been able to share here. But what did I have? I'm just trying to bring it up here. Okay, so I asked a question just of the cards to say, what do I think people are thinking at the moment? That was my first question. My second question was, what are they actually thinking? And then my third question was, what action do I need to take? And so I was shuffling the cards, but while I was shuffling the cards, my mind started thinking more about what's going on at the moment and what's going to happen. And when I shuffle the cards, I close my eyes and I'm just shuffling them just very loosely, and I only pull jumpers. So that's a card that just kind of slips out, falls out onto the table, things like that. So I pulled a jumper. I pulled 3 jumpers. And the first one that I got was Queen of Cups. The second one was 5 of Cups. And the third one was the Ace of Swords. So the Queen of Cups, now I'm a psychologist, as you know. Most of my clients are women in helping and healing professions. So they're my ideal audience. They're people that I love to, they're my tribe. They're the people that I really, really love to help. So we start off with, this Queen of Cups, somebody who's very motherly, very nurturing, caring, loving, giving, creative, all those sorts of things. And she's over the age of 35. So I'm thinking when I see that card, okay, yeah, that fits because everything that's happening at the moment, sure. The next card was the 5 of Cups, and it was sort of talking about loss, okay? It was talking about money worries. And it was saying that, we were worried about our money and not sure what was going to happen in the future. And I thought, that's very interesting as well, because that makes a lot of sense. And then we had the the 4 of Wands. And so the picture on the card is, it looks like there's a knight perhaps, or a soldier, or it's a male figure laying down on what looks like a bench. And decorating the bench is a horizontal sword. And on the wall beside him are 3 vertical swords. What this is saying is a need to rest and recharge and really sort of take stock of everything. Anyway, so I thought, okay, well, they're not answering the 3 questions that I set out to answer, but they are really clearly and obviously telling me a story here. So then I felt called to draw another card. And the next card that I drew was the 8 of Pentacles. So Pentacles are also called discs, and they usually represent things in the physical world, and most commonly associated with the idea of work and money. So this is saying that, work's going to come and it's going to be paid work. So then I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to pull another card and see what it says. So the next card that came out was the 2 of Swords. And that meant that the work that was going to come was going to be as a result of us lifting the blindfold so that we could actually see the opportunities that lay before us. And I thought, wow, that is so cool, because at the moment, so many people are losing their jobs and they're getting caught up in the now, and they're getting caught up in all that immediate stuff of, oh my gosh, what's it going to mean? What's it going to mean? And they're being paralyzed by that. So this card being drawn, especially with the one before it, saying we are going to be working, work's going to come and money's going to come, but only after we take that mask off, we take those glasses off, we take that mask or that blindfold off, and we can actually see the opportunities that are there. And then the last card was the Ace of Wands. And the Ace of Wands really is around the whole idea of, I guess, feeling like you're coming home. And I think when we're talking about work, for me anyway, being a spiritual psychologist and somebody who's very much a spiritually informed entrepreneur, I teach people all about how to align their business back with their purpose. Even though we might not use those words in coaching, that's the approach that we're taking. I think that's probably what this card is representing. It's representing, a return to home, meaning a return to your soul's home, being your purpose, anchoring into your purpose. So anyway, I got lots of DMs about this, and I shared it in a few groups that I'm in, and it just went crazy. And people were saying, oh my gosh, that's such an accurate reading. How did you do it? But honestly, guys, there wasn't any trick or magic to it. Honestly, I was just closing my eyes and being really patient and just standing there for probably about 5 minutes, shuffling the cards until I got 3 jumpers. And then after that, just intuitively knowing I needed to pull another card, another and another. And that's how I did it. I haven't done any courses or anything like that. I like to think, part of me says, oh, you were just lucky. But the other part of me says, maybe there's something to this, and maybe you're getting better at listening to your gut, So somebody said for the next podcast, could I do a reading? So I thought, yes, I could. So this one is dedicated to Jess. So Jess, this one's for you. So what I've done here is, all I said was, what do people need to hear on the podcast tomorrow? What do people need to hear on the podcast tomorrow? And I allowed myself to pull jumpers again. And this time I just stopped when I felt like it was the right time to stop. When I pull a jumper, I put it face down so I don't know what it says, and I just keep my eyes closed the whole time. So as I said, I just pulled out 5, and then I didn't feel like I needed to pull out any more. So I set the pile of cards to one side, and I just turned over all of the others. So these are my Costco cards. I don't know if this is going to be an accurate reading, but I can just share what intuitively I'm getting that you guys need to hear at the moment. So the first card, we've got 5 cards. The first card is card number 20, and this is a card from the Major Arcana. So the Major Arcana is kind of like a set of archetypes or a set of themes, and the Minor Arcana can be thought of like playing cards. You know how you've got the Queen, Jack, Spade, and then you've got 9 through to 1. So that's like the suit there. So you've got the suit being the Minor Arcana, and you've got the Major Arcana. So this card here is Judgment. So thinking about what you guys might need to hear at the moment, what I can see on the card is there's an angel, or I assume it's an angel that has wings. In front of the angel, there's a cloud, and there's a white flag with a red cross, or a white square with a red cross. That's telling me something to do with healing and helping. This angel is also, I think, playing some kind of musical instrument like a trumpet. The wings are in the up position, and they're red. And red is usually a color that's associated with love. Now, underneath, so this angel's up in the sky looking down. Underneath, we have people that are kind of raising their hands, and they're all standing in what looks like holes in the ground, almost like boxes in the ground. Like I can see that they're knee deep in these boxes, and they're wearing white tunics, and they're holding their hands up. And to me, this is saying, decisions are coming, and they're decisions regarding finality, okay? The only decision that can be made under the circumstances. And so I'm interpreting this card to mean that the only decision that can be made under the circumstances at the moment for you in the healing professions, in the health professions, in the health industry. Okay. The second card that's come up is the Eight of Wands. So Wands is all about action. And what we see here are 8 wands, and there's also 8 arrows flying through the air. And some of these wands are standing up, and some of them are leaning over and casting shadows onto the hillside. So there's a lot of action and movement in this card. And this card is really representing, through the action of 8 arrows, a lot of speed. There's a speedy news coming. There's going to be a situation that's going to be resolved. And these arrows often, again, they're red. Red is usually associated with love in, mythology. And so I would assume that on some level there's going to be speedy news regarding something to do with love. Now, I don't know what that love means for you, but if we take the first card to be meaning your work, I would take the second card to mean your work as well. So a speedy resolution, speedy news coming. The next card is number 9, and it's also from the Major Arcana, and this one is the Hermit. So the Hermit is not a bad card at all. To me, what we see here is a man. He's dressed in a grey cloak. He has white hair. He has a long flowing white beard. He's holding on to a staff that is taller than he is. He's in the dark, and he's holding a lamp in his right hand and the staff in the left, almost like the staff is stabilizing him. He's standing with his feet apart, so we know he's not walking, he's not moving, there's no action in this card. The Hermit usually represents detachment. It usually represents a time for introspection. It's a time for thinking, for reflective practice, for things like perhaps reconnecting with who you are and what your values are and what your purpose is by engaging in some kind of practice, like perhaps journaling. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's just being in nature and being very still and quiet and just allowing thoughts to come up for you and knowing which to let go and which to contemplate. But the Hermit can also mean, much needed, deeper soul searching in a time where you just kind of want to be left alone for a little while. And for some of us, I guess that means maybe being left alone in terms of stepping back from social media for a little while. Maybe it means stepping back from being in the online space where you're being constantly exposed to news around drama with work, with employment, with everything that's happening with the pandemic. So the Hermit's not a bad card. It's really about you grounding. It's about you getting back to that deeper understanding of why you're here and what you want to do. Now, the card after that is actually also from the Major Arcana, and it's card number 13, which some of you might think is aptly numbered as the card itself represents death. But you know what? Death is not a bad card, okay? There aren't any real bad cards in the tarot, I don't believe. They just form part of the story. And in this particular card here, we have what looks like a skeleton dressed in knight's armor, wearing a black cloak. There is a red feather coming out of the helmet, and he is, I'm assuming it's a he is riding a white horse, okay, and the white horse is all bridled up. However, I can see in the background here, we must be on an elevated position because behind the knight and the horse, there's water and there's a ship out in the water, and I can see that ship very clearly. Way in the background, I can see a castle and a gateway through the sea to the castle. In the forefront of the picture, I can see that this white horse is trampling on somebody. Not nice, I know. However, there is a priest in front of the knight. It's like they're having a conversation. I assume it's a priest. It's some religious figure, I think. It's dressed in yellow with a white cone hat, with a shawl with lots of filigree on the shawl. Looks very opulent. And then there is a little girl, and then there's perhaps a teenage girl beside that priest, and they're both wearing white, and they both have little daisies in their hair. They've been playing in the sand, and you know what? This is not such a scary picture really when you look at it, because we don't know the circumstance here around why this horse is actually trampling on that person. And it's very, very possible that perhaps that person represents a situation that perhaps wasn't so good. That's the feeling that I'm getting from this card. Death usually means that there's a finishing or a completion. It usually means that something's coming to an end. And that's not a bad thing. It's just what happens. You know, there are rhythms in life, and you've heard me talk before on this podcast about seasons, and really tapping into the idea that just like we have seasons in the environment, we also, I believe, have seasons in our business. And I guess death would perhaps represent winter. You know, it's the completion of something. It's the completion of a cycle, much like our full moon represents the completion of something and marks the beginning of a new phase, something different happening. And that's what we're seeing here. This death card is telling us that, you know, something is coming to completion now, and there's going to be a new beginning. So again, this is a business podcast, and it's also a spiritually informed podcast, but I am just getting the sense that this whole reading is really around what's going on in psychology and allied health at the moment with respect to the work that we do. And now the last card that I've pulled here, or that's jumped out at me rather, is the Ace of Cups. So Cups is a beautiful, beautiful card because it really does represent emotion. And the Ace of Cups is just a stunning card to draw. You know, we can see here there is, in the middle of the card, there's a picture of a hand outstretched, and in the palm of the hand there's a cup, or a golden chalice, if you like. And this chalice is overflowing with water. So much so that beneath it we can see a whole pond, and you know, it's not a defined pond. This pond could go on as far as the eye can see, and we can see there are lots of lily pads, healthy train again, sorry, kind of breaks the rhythm, doesn't it? We can see that there's these water lilies have very, very healthy lilies growing from them, and there's a blue sky, and there's a white dove that's diving down to drink from the chalice. And that's a really positive sign, isn't it? Because doves are usually associated with purity, honesty, truth, peace, harmony, all those sorts of really beautiful words and metaphors. So this card here actually really represents for us security. And it really means that, you know what, there's a helping hand that's coming. And in terms of our cup running over, our cup's going to be running over with joyful feelings, peaceful feelings, harmonious feelings. And I can really only interpret that as a feeling of deeper connection with our soul's purpose. So let's review and see if I can put together a short version of the story for you. And I'm just going to relate it to what I know, because I'm feeling called to talk about psychology at the moment. And I'm very sorry, I know I have a much wider audience than psychologists, but I'm just feeling drawn to speak to psychs at the moment. But it sounds to me like at the moment there's a judgment that's about to happen that's out of our hands, and we're just going to have to deal with that. But that judgment's going to come quite quickly. And when I say quite quickly, usually quickly can mean anywhere from the next half an hour, and it's 11 p.m. on Friday night, the 27th of March now. It can be within half an hour up to within a couple of days. So I would be expecting that somebody's going to make a judgment related to our work within the next couple of days. And that judgment, that announcement is going to cause us time to want to disconnect from social media, want to disconnect from everything to do with COVID, and really make us want to connect more with where we're sitting with things for ourselves. It's going to make us really want to think about our roles, the work that we do, our position, how we do the work that we do. It's going to make us really reflect on, I think, the long game. And I don't think many of us have really had time to do that yet. We've just kind of been caught up in reacting and not really thinking about being proactive. And there are some of us that are ahead of the curve, and we have been proactive. Like, you know, I'm incredibly calm with everything. I feel like I'm on top of it, and that's great. But I'm getting private messages every day from people who are freaking out and panicking. So I think what's going to happen is there's going to be an announcement in the next couple of days that's going to require some of us to take some time out and really think about what direction we want to take our practice in. And when I say think about the long game, what's coming to me is, for example, there's been some conversation around government funding and bulk billing, and I guess what's coming to me at the moment is if people get excited about the bulk billing, and for example, there's a requirement from the government again that it must be bulk billing, and there's no gap charging, and there's no private fee charging, and all that sort of jazz. I think we run the risk of being very excited and thinking this is wonderful news and accepting entirely bulk bill clients into our caseloads. And then when all of this is over, having to then reintroduce fees, I think is going to be problematic. I think you're either going to have the problems now when you accept bulk billing and you take away your fees, you only accept the bulk billing. I think that's probably short term. I think all you're doing really is just buying yourself a bit of time, because I think when all of this is over, you do run the risk then of having implications for the practice in the long run when you want to reintroduce fees to people who haven't been paying them for a while. But look, I could be wrong. It's just my sense that I'm getting here. So I think you need to really have a think about the announcement that's made and what it's actually going to mean for your business. I would be encouraging you to look at what it's going to mean for your business in the next, say, 4 weeks, and what it would mean for your business in the next 6 to 12 months. And allow yourself time on your own without the noise of the online space to really connect to what's important to you and allow yourself to make a decision from that space. We know that there's going to be an end to something in your practice. There's going to be an end to something in your practice in terms of perhaps the way that you practice. Maybe it's, look, honestly, death is never usually a short-term thing. Death is usually a permanent thing. So I would imagine there's going to be a permanent change upon us. It's not going to be a bad one, but it's going to be one that some of you will need time to adjust to, I imagine. It's going to represent new beginnings, new ways of doing things. Maybe that is that we're on telehealth for 12 months. Maybe that means we're on telehealth for longer than that. Maybe it means changes to the way we deliver services. Maybe it means changes to the way we bill for those services. Maybe it means changes to the way that we market those services. I'm not sure, but something is going to be finishing in terms of your practice and the way that you practice, that's going to create space for you to try something new. And then what's going to happen is, as a result of something finishing and something new beginning, you're going to feel more fulfilled than you have for a very, very long time. Something beautiful is going to happen for you. You're going to feel at peace at last. You're going to feel perhaps less restricted. You're going to feel perhaps more connected to your clients than you ever have before. You're going to feel more connected to why you do the work that you do more than you have ever before. There's going to be a very, very big shift for you in your practice that's going to be exciting and beautiful and fill you up, and you're just going to be glowing, and you're going to be attracting clients to you. And they might be different clients than you've been working with, but you're going to start attracting clients to you because of the new change that you've made, because of the thing that you've let go. Now these people are going to be able to see you, they're going to be able to find you, they're going to be able to connect with you, they're going to be able to get the help that they've been longing for. And you're in a position, or you will be in a position once you let go of whatever it is, to provide it. So this is a very positive reading. It's saying everything's going to work out just fine. And you know what? Some of you might be wondering what's going to happen with my money. But let's be honest. Money is only a vehicle to you attaining a feeling of freedom or peace or joy or happiness, okay? You're going to get that feeling. I don't know what's going to happen with the money, but it's like you're going to get to that happy place. And I don't think the money's going to be so important. Some of you are really going to just thrive and flourish in spite of everything that's going on around you at the moment, if you will allow yourselves time to get out of the online space and connect back to your purpose. And as I said before, and I've mentioned in previous podcasts, there are ways that you can do that. Some of you like to journal, some of you like to meditate, some of you like to go for a walk, some of you just like to sit and be, some of you like to do breath work. You do the thing that grounds you, but be patient. This isn't going to be a quick decision. It's not going to be a quick answer. This is something that you're really going to need to allow yourself space to think about. And don't be afraid, because it's going to work out for you, I believe. Okay? And yeah, so that's it. The cards were Judgment, the Eight of Wands, the Hermit, Death, and the Ace of Cups, if you want to go and have a look at those. This is just my interpretation, as I said. I'm very novice at this, but I'll be interested to see what happens. I'll keep a record of this, and maybe we'll do an update later on. So Jess, I hope that helps. There is going to be security, and there is going to be a helping hand, and there are lots of people out there that are here to help you, and I'm one of those people also that can help you. And if there's anything you need at any time, please don't hesitate to reach out. As you know, I have a coaching program at the moment, but it's only for 5 people and it's really competitive, and 4 of those spots have gone. When you listen to this podcast, I'm already talking to 3 people tomorrow for that last spot. But when those go, you're more than welcome to contact me, and I'll give you any help that I can over Messenger. And if you want to do the coaching, that's fine. You can go on the wait list for the next round, which will be opening up for June. Thank you so much for your time. I would love to hear your comments and thoughts about, my attempt at a reading today and see what you think. And I hope that it brings you some, insight, some peace of mind. Maybe it means something a little bit different to you in terms of your circumstances, but I would love to hear your thoughts anyway, and you can let me know on Facebook. And have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful weekend, guys. If you love this episode, let me know, please, with a review on iTunes. That would be so appreciative. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful, happy Saturday. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope that you enjoyed it and got a lot of value from it. Help me help others by sharing this podcast. And if you feel called to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, remember to let me know so that I can send you a very special thank you gift. Now go and build your dream business, and I will see you next time. Bye.